So for some time, I've had kind of this interest, this dream, if you will, of owning a portfolio of companies um, that do maybe service companies, like won't have to be particularly glamorous companies or anything, but companies that I can maybe acquire in some fashion and help to maybe fix and apply marketing to and get them to be more successful and have an ownership stake in it. I think ownership equity when when businesses are working is a beautiful thing because it to some extent it disconnects the owner's time from his compensation, right? So there's a chance to increase some leverage there. Now I think it's easy for non-owners to have sort of a an unrealistic view of the amount of time that it can take to be a successful owner, and think that you can just sit back and relax and have money rolling in, and that may be fairly unrealistic. So I was thinking about some of that this morning, and kind of reminded that in some ways, as the owner of a marketing agency, I'm actually already doing my dream, if you will, of being an investor, so to speak, or being an owner in other companies. Now, what do I mean by that? No, I do not technically own a stake in the companies that I do marketing for. So I don't have any. I don't have any equity currently in any of those companies. However, for some of those companies, I do have commission-based agreements with them, and so the better that they do, the better that I do with them. So, to some degree, you could say I'm an investor in those companies. Now, what I'm investing generally is my time, it's not my money. And the results, similar to owning a business, the income is variable from those accounts. And so if they have a great month, and then I've got potentially great pay. If they have a very lousy month, I potentially have lousy compensation from the company that month. Um, so it is. When you're thinking about doing your dream, sometimes you want to just go straight at it and go straight for your dream. And so if I was doing that in this case, I would be digging into acquisitions, probably maybe looking for what's the smallest company that I can find to invest in and buying it and so forth. And those would all be, I think, legitimate approaches, I think. But sometimes you can essentially do the thing you want to do without technically doing it right, which is kind of what I'm doing. So I'm getting to invest in my clients' companies. I'm investing my time, and I'm also risking my time in some cases. So for some of my companies that I'm working with, sometimes I will bring them in, and maybe they're a pretty small company, and so there's not a great case to be made based on how we set it up for me to work with them, right? In the early going, right? Like I expect in the first 1 to 6 months potentially to essentially lose money, right? Like I'm not going to get paid well for the amount of time that I put in, very likely. And depending on where I'm at with that, I'm totally cool with that. That's cool. There's no problem. I'll get by on the revenue from the other companies, and this new company that's maybe not selling a lot just yet. I say new as an investment for me, right? New as a client. We're gonna work on getting their sales up, and then hopefully I'll get my money, my time back. I'll get that compensation, and so I think part of the reason that I enjoy working in that way is that humans actually, and this varies by the human, by the way, I think, but I think humans actually kind of like uncertain rewards, if you will, and so they're uncertain rewards, right? Like that's I think what makes gambling so addictive, right? Is that or one of the things is that you don't exactly know the outcome. You can hope for a good outcome, but you don't know what the outcome is exactly. And so it's kind of interesting that as humans, at least some personalities especially, are drawn to the uncertainty. Now, if I would say I have a limited tolerance for uncertainty, right? So if I had no idea whether or not every month I was going to make any money, and some months I was going to make $0, zero money, and another month's, a lot of money, I might not be okay with that. And I do have clients that pay me a regular set fee every month for a set amount of work, and that's how we roll. So I do have a mix for sure, and it helps my income to be more stable. But anyway, the real takeaway here is talking about when you have a dream, when you've got something that you would like to do, there may be a way that you can essentially do it right from wherever you're at in life, rather than waiting until you can completely, fully do the dream. There may be other examples of this. So let's say, for instance, that you have a dream to travel the world. You can. There's a couple of ways you can go about this, right? So one is you could work every waking minute to save up money to travel the world, and that is a totally legitimate way to go about pursuing that dream. Another way you could look at it is, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to save some of my money, and I'm going to work on getting there, and I'm going to save enough to take a trip to, a distant part of the United States, for starters. After that, I'm going to work on saving up to go to Central America. And after that, it's going to be Europe. And so you can do it step by step like that. Or you could say, well, look, it's very expensive. It's not that practical to travel the entire world. I'm going to, in my spare time, what I would normally just be entertaining myself in, I'm going to watch documentaries, or I'm going to scroll through Google Earth, which maybe it sounds super lame, but it is probably the closest thing to just walking down the street in famous places that you can do right now, in many ways. And so there's other ways that you can get experiences. You can listen to travel podcasts or whatever, right? So a lot of ways that you could pursue that dream, if you will, and it wouldn't have to be just a sort of typical idealized version. It could be a variety of ways that you could pursue that. So just apply some creativity. Like, if you have a dream, how could you start on that dream now? And how could you start enjoying participating in that dream while you work to the eventual full realization of whatever it is that you want to do?